Waiting on computer.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, let's get underway, everybody. Just to give you a quick introduction for the few who don't know me, and as a reminder for those who do, and I love how you've all segregated yourself. I can dream. So, my name is Tyler Foley, and I'm the author of The Power to Speak Naked. And the way that this book came about is, as a business owner, I was looking for a way to differentiate myself and really grow my business. And I've been struggling for a long while. I'd actually written a book previous to this in an attempt to really set myself apart as an authority in the industry. As some background, I'm a health and safety consultant and formerly an actor. So I spend a lot of my time standing in front of stages talking to people. And my first book was on safety and it kind of went nowhere. So with this one, I wanted to have a real strategy in place to make sure that I could have an impact and really reach people. So I partnered with Blackheart Books and went to a book publishing seminar and really got to learn some of the techniques and strategies that Jerry Roberts put together. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, this is Jerry Roberts, and he's the author of The Millionaire Mindset. And it's his principles and foundations that I will be talking to you about today. So this program is all based on Blackheart Books Publishing and some of the strategies that Jerry Roberts has put in place. Now, for anyone who doesn't know, this is what Jerry Roberts used to look like. And now he is literally half the man that he was. He's lost 120 pounds in the last 2 years. And in doing so, he's really shown his commitment to his own health. And for anybody who's struggled with weight loss or any kind of weight plan, you know the commitment that it takes. And so, as you guys saw, he was fooling around with us one day, and there's a group of us that work very closely with him, and he said, guys, since I've lost so much weight, I'm thinking of changing the cover on my book. And so we said, oh, great, well, let's see. That's the picture that you guys showed. So that's one of the things that I like about Jerry, is that he has a tremendous sense of humor, but not only that, he has an incredible love for helping people. And the way that he's been helping people is teaching them the 8 steps to publishing success. Now, when Jerry Robert was 20 years in his 20s, he was a pastor, and he had written his first book, and he was looking for a mentor, a financial mentor. He knew that he wanted more, and he had been struggling to try to find his own niche. So Jerry Canfield, the author of Chicken Soup for the Soul, he had suggested to Jerry to go to this seminar and talk to who eventually became his mentor. Now, what Jerry had done is he published his first book, and he said, he walked up to the mentor at the end of the seminar and he said, look, I've heard that you can give some of the best financial advice around, and I would really like it if I could work with you. And he gave him a signed copy of his book. Well, a couple of days later, mentor phoned him and said, Jerry, I would love to meet up with you. If you can, let's have that meeting. I can give you 15, 20 minutes of my time. So Jerry was excited. He went over and he talked to him. And at this meeting, the mentor asked him one question and said 2 statements that forever impacted his life. When Jerry and him sat down, he said, Jerry, what is the most amount of money that you have ever made? And Jerry, very proud of himself because he just pushed himself as an entrepreneur and he just had his most successful year ever, he said, I have made $100,000 last year. And he was really proud. So when his mentor said, Jerry, that's garbage, kind of took him back. He said, why? He said, Jerry, it's garbage for you to make $100,000 a year if you can make $100,000 a month. And instead of saying, oh, great guru, please tell me how, Jerry did what came natural to him. He said, are you kidding? Do you know how hard it was for me to make that $100,000? I was busting my butt. I put in $125,000 of my own cash just to bring the $100,000 back. And anybody who's entrepreneurial like me knows exactly what he's talking about, right? And he went on to give him a whole bunch of lists. He said, I'm not very educated. I didn't even pass high school. I grew up in poverty. My family could barely put food over our head, roof over our head, or food on our table. I can't do it. And he's going on, he's giving all these excuses why $100,000 a month is insurmountable. His mentor stops and says, Jerry, you're a jerk. Now, I don't know about you, but if in 5 minutes the guy who you're hoping to be your mentor says your income is garbage and that you're a jerk, it's either going to be a short conversation or you take the moment, regroup, and listen to what the man says. So his mentor went on to say to him, Jerry, my whole goal in life is to get people to think differently. I want you to have thoughts that you haven't had. I want you to show you paths of learning that you haven't thought of yet. And so Jerry sat down, he said, all right, and he did everything that his mentor told him over that year. And over the course of the year, Jerry made $1 million. Now, one of the nice things about being associated with Jerry and Blackheart Books is I've had a chance to see him speak live. And I've seen him in one weekend go up before Tony Robbins and pull in $1 million in a weekend. One weekend, he will go up and he makes $1 million. And I'm not telling you this to brag, but to give you kind of the idea behind this system that I'm about to show you. Right now, Blackheart Books is posed to make $100 million in the next 24 months, just from the acquisition of titles. We are the fastest growing publisher by title acquisition in the world. And the systems that Jerry has put together is geared, again, to make $100 million per year in the next 24 months. And that's the power of the system that I'm about to talk to you about. Now, I said a little bit about Jerry. Who here has goals? We all have, some goals that we want to do. Jerry's just like you and me. He has goals too. This is his new goal. Citation 10. It's what he wants to cruise around in, right? He has a joke. He says you don't know living until you've been flying 30,000 feet in the air at 300 miles an hour eating sushi, right? But he's not doing all of his work just for the Citation 10. The real reason that Jerry is in the business that he's in right now is because of this. The impact that the 700 authors currently in the Blackheart system has on people. He wants you, anybody with an idea that wants to set themselves apart, to have an impact on the world, to have that opportunity to do it. And publishing a book is the fastest way to do it. And I'll give you an example. This is Hatish. And he went to one of Jerry's seminars. And what you need to know about Hitesh is that he has cerebral palsy. And he wanted to tell his story. And he wanted to make an impact with that. So he attended one of the boot camps and then re-attended afterwards, because when you attend our boot camps, you get to re-attend for free. And he wanted to come back about a half a year later, and he found Jerry. Now, Jerry was speaking at a Get Motivated event, and he was on just before Tony Robbins. And so as Tony was taking the stage, and everybody, right, it's Tony Robbins, right? Everybody is flocking to the stage to see Tony speak. Well, Hitesh, he's going the opposite way. He's trying to track down Jerry backstage. He tracks him down and he says, Jerry, I did everything that you said. Everything that you talked about in your boot camp, I put into place. And he's just beaming and shaking because of his illness, but he's just happy. He's just beaming ear to ear with it. And he gives Jerry a copy of his book. He says, I want you to have this, and I want you to know it has made a huge difference in my life. And he goes on to tell Jerry about how everything is coming up roses for little Hitesh. And he was so happy. And that is the reason why Jerry does what he does, is for stories like Hitesh. So, this is a free seminar. How many people here think I'm going to try and sell you something by the end of the day? Raise your hand. I promise not to disappoint you, Jerry. I promise not to do it. So, I want to make a deal with you guys. If I give you 25, 30 minutes of solid content, can I take 5 minutes at the presentation to tell you about the boot camps? Is that fair? Can we make that deal? Fair is fair? Everybody say yes, Tyler?
Yes, Tyler.
Okay, thank you so much. So, the boot camp is coming June 2nd to 4th in Calgary. So it's just 4 weeks from now, and I'll tell you a little bit about it at the end of the presentation. All right? Now, let's jump right into it. Why is a book so effective? Well, it's effective because it's an ad without looking like an advertisement. It's your sales team in pages. And the reason that works is because a book builds trust before you ever start selling anything. If you give a book to somebody, you have become an instant expert. You are an authority within your field. So you have stopped becoming a salesman, and you are now the person who has literally wrote the book on it. Books also have a very high perceived value, right? Think of it. When the last time a friend or a relative or even a stranger, if you're lucky enough, gave you a book, it feels good because a book has a value, and it has a high perceived value to public. And we'll talk about pricing structures in a little bit, but I want you guys to remember that a book has a high perceived value to the public. So if you are going to give a book away, it will pull prospects to you because they feel that they have gotten something of high value out of that exchange. I'll give you an example of how a book pulls prospects to you. We had an author, and she was putting a one-page, a full ad in her newspaper every week. She was spending $1,000 a week, and she was getting 15 prospects out of the calls. Now, she was a parental coach, so she took parents who were struggling raising their children and gave them some tips and techniques on how to raise their kids. And she would make about $1,000 to $2,000 a client. So for her to spend $1,000 a week on an ad and get 15 prospects made sense for her. It had a profit for her. So when she came to our boot camp, Jerry sat down with her and he said, listen, keep the ad going, but instead of advertising your services of what you're doing, I want you to take your book and give it away for free. So all she did was change her ad, same steps that she was taking before, but instead of saying what she was doing, she just said, free book to the first 30 callers, and she went from getting 15 prospects a week to 500. 500 prospects just by giving the book away, and that's what we're talking about, using a book as a marketing device and a lead generating device so that you can grow your business. Now imagine what this did for her business, going from 15 to 500 leads a week. Imagine what it would do to your business if you could expand it from 15 to 500 a week. That's the power of a book. Now, as I said, a book gives you instant differentiation. A book allows you to set yourself apart and set yourself up as an expert. It also, as I said, makes you an instant authority because you wrote the book on the subject that you're giving to your clients and your prospects. And here's the other thing about a book. It is never thrown away. Think about it. How many books have you, who here has moved more than 5 times in their life? And who has a pile of books on a bookshelf that has come with you for every move? Right? A book is never thrown out. Again, it has a high perceived value. We're just not going to throw books out. Society values books. So if you have a book, even if who has unread books on their bookshelf? Right? But they're there. So even if you haven't read the book, it's there, and people remember, and they will remember your name, and especially if you put your picture right on the front of it. That's why I put mine on the front of mine. I want people to remember this face. Give a book away.
I'm always going to remember your face.
I love you too, Jerry. Who wants to be a speaker? Right? It is fun. Let me tell you, somebody who does it, I enjoy this. But you can't be a speaker, an effective one, if you don't have a book. A book helps you get speaking engagements. It's usually one of the first things people will ask when they're looking to book speakers. Do you have a book? So having a book helps those of us who want to be in the speaking arena to book speaking engagements. And, side tip, to all of my female audience members today, there is a drastic shortage of female speakers in the world. Think about it. I'm a guy, I'm standing up here. How many seminars have you guys been to where it's been a male speaker compared to how many seminars you've been to with female speakers? That imbalance is starting to shift, luckily, but there is a shortage of female speakers. In fact, there was a call out the other day that was looking specifically for female speakers just to be able to fill an engagement in France, because they needed to balance off the imbalance of male speakers. So, if side tip, if you guys want to, there's a wide open prospect there, but you do need a book if you're going to get onto the big stages. A book will also help you close more sales. And it gives you that differentiation. Again, you become an instant authority, and suddenly you're not a salesperson. Your book does all the selling for you. All you do is show up and say, let's do this. And people will say, absolutely, because you've written the book. So everybody, turn to a partner, say, you can do this. You can do this. High fives. You can do this. Good job. Now, I'm going to talk to you really quickly about the biases of the 8 steps before we get into them. So when we're talking about a book, we're not talking about a fiction book or children's book. We're talking about using a book as a marketing tool based on your experiences or what you have to share within your industry. So a nonfiction book about whatever it is that you want to talk about, that you feel you need to share with the world. And we're talking about publishing it yourself, okay? So we're not talking about trying to work the deals with some of the larger publishing companies. We're talking about a book that you write, that you get the cover design for, that you have edited and put together for yourself. You go to a local print house and get a couple thousand, couple hundred copies done, and you self-publish this book and then use it as a marketing tool. So those are the biases just up front that I'll be discussing today. And because of that, we want to focus on more than the book sales. I want you, for everyone who's taking notes, I want you to take this down. There is no money in book sales. I'll repeat it one more time. There is no money in book sales. And I want you to think about that for a second. For anybody who's a coach or an insurance, if you sell insurance, or if you are a financial planner or a real estate agent, how much money do you get per client? What is a client's value to you? And how much money do you get selling a book? Even if you made a $10 profit, I guarantee you that one client is worth more. Does that make sense? So we don't want to focus on trying to sell books. What we want to do is use a book as a marketing tool to generate more leads, to get more clients to you, so that you have more clients available to you and therefore make more money. Now, J. Conrad Levinson, who is the author of the Guerrilla Marketing series of books, said it far better than I can. So let's just see what Conrad said. Someone asked me how much money I made from my first book. The answer I gave was $10 million. The royalties paid me $35,000, but the speaking engagements, spin-off books, newsletters, columns, boot camps, consulting, and wide open doors resulted in the remaining $9,965,000. And that's the power of the book, right? So we want to focus on more than just book sales. Now, this is Jerry Roberts' new book, Multiply Your Business. And it's a small book, 10 chapters, about 100, 120 pages. Really quick survey of the audience. How much do you think it cost to get this book printed? That's a good guess. Anybody else? How much? 200. How about per copy? Yeah, you were right. $1. In fact, to get this done, it is 97 cents or 94 cents. And that's assuming that we've printed 2,000 copies. So for $2,000, you now have 2,000 books. And I just want to do a quick breakdown for you then. So if you got your cover design for, say, $500, the layout done by a professional for another $500, had a professional go and edit your work after you've written it, another $500, and then based on $1 a copy, getting 2,000 copies printed, your total investment is $3,500 for those 2,000 books. But here's what I want you to think about. If you price those books at $20 a copy, which is the low side for pricing of a book, you're sitting on $40,000 of asset that can be used as a value to then promote yourself. So $3,500 becomes $40,000 just like that. And if you're thinking to yourself, but Tyler, I am not a writer. I struggle with writing. I want to show you something. These are all people who said, Tyler, I am not a writer. I am not a writer type. These are just regular business folks who are looking for an edge, looking for a way to differentiate themselves in the market and grow their business. All of them attended the boot camp, and all of them published their own book using the methods that we'll talk about right about now. So, one more time, everybody say, you can do this. You can do this. High fives around. All right? Yeah. Who here has been thinking of writing a book? How long have you been thinking of writing a book, Jerry?
4 or 5 years.
4 or 5 years? Year and a half?
Way too long.
Rochelle, way too long. You want to keep
Since I
it?
was little.
Since you were little.
Since I was little.
So 10 years.
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay. Now? Connie, you?
Oh, years, yeah.
Years?
It was mostly kids' books, but yeah,
Right.
not anymore.
And what's stopping everybody? Why haven't we written this book yet? Fear? Maybe? A little bit of perfection?
Time.
Maybe? Time? There's a lot of reasons, right? A lot of reasons like this. This is what's stopping you. And if you attend the boot camp, we get to take all those mental blocks out of the way so that you can realize that that little kid doesn't need to stand in your way. I like this video, by the way. I'm not funny, that's why I put the funny videos in. See, everybody thinks that this is the book that they need to write. Right? And does anybody know what the title of that book is, by the way?
The U.S. budget.
The U.S. budget, very close. It's Everything Men Know About Women. But you want to know something about that book? That's right, every page is blank. We have no idea. Right? So we all think that we need to write this world-changing, earth-shattering, industry-revolutionizing, personality-altering, history-making, incomprehensibly complicated work of art that is totally original, with never-before-heard-of content, massively sized, masterfully written in perfect English, one of a kind, without one single spelling mistake. Whew. And that book just doesn't exist. And it's never going to be written, is it? And it's that idea of perfection that holds people back. So we're going to push through that right now. We're going to jump right into the 8 steps of publishing success so that you guys can knock through some of those barriers and get onto the path of getting your book done. Does that sound fair? So, step 1. What is your primary objective? And with this, I want you to think not what you want the book to do for other people. In the primary objective, we want to focus on what do you want your book to do for you. What do I want this book to do for me? So here we have Dr. Linder, and he wrote the Beverly Hills Shape. His primary objective was to get media. He wanted more media, he wanted free press, because he knew that if he was featured in the media, that was the best advertising that he was ever going to get, right? People are more trusting of free advertising than of paid advertising. So if he could get in the media, he was going to get larger, bigger, more successful clients. And so he wrote the book, and that was all the media that he got into. He was on the BBC, ABC, Fox News, he was on the doctors, like he showed up everywhere because of the book. So your first step is to determine, what do you want your book to do for you? Do you want leads, differentiation, like Dr. Linder, free publicity? Do you want to double your closing ratio? Do you want to have more sales, get better, more qualified leads? You have to come up with, in step one, specifically, what do you want your book to do for you? Once you have determined what you want your book to do for you, now we can start to engineer the book, and we can start to write the right content. I'll give you an example. David Ong, his primary objective was to do speaking. He wanted to be an after-dinner speaker at large corporate functions. So what he did was he gathered all those internet memes that you see that go around, all the jokes on the internet that get emailed from your grandma time and time and time again, right? They get forwarded on through chains. He compiled all of those into a small book, and what he does is he gives the book out and says, I'm an after-dinner speaker. If you're interested in hiring me, I'm $2,000 a speech. And then he takes his book and he sits behind the podium and he just reads from it. He just reads the internet jokes. And he makes $2,000 a speech for doing that. But that's how he wrote the content. That's all he did was compile the internet jokes. It's that easy to do. One of the other things you can do is be a reporter. So here we have David Chapman, and he came to one of Jerry Roberts' boot camps, and after he was talking with him, he said, I want to write a book on network marketing. And Jerry stopped him. He said, well, wait, before you write a book on network marketing, write a book on what network marketers want. They want time freedom. They want financial freedom. They want an independent lifestyle that allows them to live anywhere in the world and still collect money. That's the idea behind it, he said. So David, write a book called Millionairehood. How to cut your time to financial success in half. And David looked at him and he said, but Jerry, I'm 21. I have never made $1 million. How am I going to write a book on making $1 million? And Jerry said to him, you don't have to be a millionaire to write about how to make millions. What you do is you go and you interview 10 millionaires, compile your research, and publish it. And he thought about it. He said, okay, and I want you guys to think about it. Who here has ever heard of Think and Grow Rich? It's one of the most common books in all of self-help publishing, right? And Napoleon Hill, when he wrote Think and Grow Rich, was a broke reporter. What did he do? He went out and interviewed the wealthiest people in America, compiled his research, and Think and Grow Rich has gone on to be one of the most successful books in history. He was broke. He wrote about how to make millions. So you don't necessarily have to be an expert in your field in order to write about the thing that you want to write about. But I'll let you in on a secret. When you do interview 10 experts in your field and publish a book on it, you become the 11th expert. Make sense? Now, the next step is to design an awesome book cover. Are you ready? Design an awesome book cover. You want your book cover to grab attention. Now, we've all heard the saying, don't judge a book by its cover, right? Yes? I say judge a book by its cover, because the cover is what introduces you and your book and your ideas to the reader. So take a quick look at this.
this is my example. Would you buy that book? No, look at that cover. Achieving Complete Advantage Through Service Differentiation in Commercial Banking, a Malaysian Perspective by Fu Chao Li.
Sounds like real boot.
It sounds like just a barn burner, right? Just a page turner of a book. But here's the thing, you wouldn't read that book. And when Mr. Lee came to one of Jerry's seminars, he said, I'm a quality management consultant. I'm trying to get more corporate gigs. I've written this book. I keep giving it to people and nothing's working, Jerry. Nothing's working for me. And Jerry said, of course not. Look at your cover. So Jerry partnered with him. All they did was redesign the cover. That's it. The content of the book stayed 100% the same, but they went from this cover to this cover. Win the competition game, aligning corporate strategy, value, discipline, and service quality to improve business performance by Fu Chao Li. That is the power of the cover. Because you give that to somebody and they say, wow. So when we are talking about designing a cover, we want you to design a quality cover. Do not cheap out on the cover design. You want to make sure that you spend quality money to have a quality designer put together a Madison Avenue quality book cover for you, because that is the image that you are now going to portray forward to the prospects that you give your book to. So don't cheap out on the book cover. Do a good investment in it. Next, we've got the book cover design, we have the content in place, we know what our primary objective is, and we're going to use the book to capture leads. And it's very simple. You put together a one-page landing page or an opt-in page, and you give away a copy of your book. Have them enter in your potential prospects, put their information in the little column there, and you start to develop a list of potential clients who are interested in your services. And here's the thing, for all of our note takers, the money is in the list. As you get those prospects, that is your chance to nurture a relationship with them so that they know who you are, they know what your product is. You've already opened the door with the book. Now you can start to generate that trust and that relationship with them by nurturing that list. Does that make sense? Everybody with me so far? Great. Now you have a list. So let's use your book to boost your sales. Think about it. In this day and age, are people more skeptical or less skeptical of salespeople? For those of us who are in sales, what are some of the objections that you get? Try. Can't afford it, right? Or I don't have the time. Or just flat out, sales guy? No. And you shut the door. Because we have, and I'm in sales. For anybody who wants to be a life coach or a mentor or anything like that, maybe write this down too. I serve because I sell. It's one of the most impactful messages that I've learned through my career as a speaker. I serve because I sell. I can't serve the millions of people that is my goal to serve if I can't get in front of them. The only way I can get in front of them is to sell. And I know the objections I have myself about salespeople coming to approach me. No. So a book opens that door. You no longer have to sell. Your book sells for you, right? And a book is an excellent sales team because they give you some differentiation. Does anybody have any idea how many realtors are in Calgary right now? Throw out a number. Anybody?
4,000.
Just under 4,000. And all of their cards look exactly the same, right? All the marketing is exactly the same. This girl, she decided to be different. She designed her business card just slightly larger so that it stood out from the crowd. But does that really stand out from the crowd? No. We introduced the idea of you using your new business card. Imagine that Annalena came to you and said, "Hi, my name is Annalena and I'm a local realtor and I want to give you a copy of my book, Getting to Sold, Insider Secrets to Selling Your House Fast and for Top Dollar." Now, what realtor are you going to go with? Big card or better card? Right? And that is the power of the book. Imagine you started introducing yourself with your new business card, just like these authors did. And that is the power of the book because, again, you're not a salesperson anymore. You have now differentiated yourself and allowed yourself to be beyond a salesperson. And one of the best things you could do, anytime, so for those of you who are like me who struggle with being a salesperson, blame your publisher or your mentor. You're not the one doing this. So my mentor told me that I should give my book to the 100 most positive people in this city, and I hear you are one of them. Send that to your prospective client before you show up at the sales meeting, and you're not even playing the same game anymore, right? Like you have elevated yourself above and beyond. Because you're not a salesperson. You are now the author of that book that is sitting in their hand. And that conversation becomes so much easier. Does that make sense? Now again, because people are more skeptical, and I alluded to it earlier, we want to use a book to get free publicity. So step 6, get free publicity. Just like Dr. Linder did. Because if you can get free publicity, people are more trusting of that. So let's go back to David Chow. When he was writing his book, he put together a little press release kit. And we'll discuss at the boot camp a media hijack concept where you can get in front of the press with breaking stories. He hadn't even published his book yet. And he was already being featured in newspapers. And you look at Dr. Linder, he was on TV. We use the book to get in front of the media because media loves authors. They gobble authors up. Why? Because you've written the book on it. You are the subject matter. People trust authors. Out of curiosity, does anybody know the 3 most trusted professions in North America? Doctors, lawyers, authors. If you become an author, you are the authority. You instantly have that sympathy and that understanding and that respect because you have a published book. And so we can get you in front of the media. This book here, Singing the Blues, again, using the media hijack, our author was able to get into Time magazine before her book was ever published. And to give you a little background, she was a high school teacher who was looking to retire and wanted to set up a coaching business. So she wrote Stop Singing the Blues. And before it was ever published, she was able to get into Time magazine. And I guarantee you after that, she stopped singing the blues. Step 7, this is my favorite step, of course, is to get others to pay for everything. And we do this because what is one of the biggest fears that people have when publishing a book? I don't have the money to publish this book. Yeah, this all sounds like a good idea, but if I had $3,500 kicking around, I have other things that I would do with that money. So we get others to pay for everything. Here we have Annie Lim, and she wrote Mad Dogs, Crazy Cats. How men are like dogs and women are like cats. Sound kind of like men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Different take on it. Well, one of the things that she did was pre-sell her book. She'd gone to a conference very similar to this, and they had just over 700 attendees. And when she went to the sign-in table, one of the things I'm going to tell you right now, insider tip, don't introduce yourself as whatever it is that you do. Introduce yourself as an author who writes about the thing that you do. Okay? So when she went into the sign-up table and they asked you to put down your profession, she said, I'm an author. And they went, oh, great, one of our speakers backed out. Could you speak on our stage for us? really help us out? And she's going, yes, I would love to help you out, right? So one of the other things that we strongly recommend you to do is always say yes to speaking engagements. Always say yes to speaking engagements. And carry a USB stick that has an order form for your book and a JPEG of your book cover. So what she did was she said, I would love to speak. Would you be able to hand out my order form and put it on all the seats before I go up? And here's a cover of my book. Can we put it up on the screen? They said, absolutely, anything that you need. So she went to a print house, got 700 copies of her order form put out. And then at the end of her talk, she talked for about 10, 15 minutes. At the end of the talk, she said, I don't mean to be pushy, but my publisher insists that at the end of every talk, I ask anybody who resonated with my message to consider ordering a copy of my book. And so if you guys are interested, fill out the form that's on your chair and bring it to me at the back. Well, she had $5,100 in sales by the end of the evening. One night, $5,100. That paid for all of her publishing costs right there. And that's how simple it can be to get others to pay for your money. Now, if you're going to pre-sell your book, you still have to write a book. You can't just take money and then not write the book. But as somebody who has pre-sold his book, I can tell you it's one of the best motivating factors you can have to meet your publishing date, is knowing that there are people expecting to read that book on that date. One of the other, and really quick, I have a message from Mary Beth Haynes. Oh, can you turn that up, Jared?
I can if I know what the volume is.
I think it's going to be that.
Never used this before.
Let's go with this one. I think it's this one. Ready? Let's see if we can hear from Mary Beth.
My name is Mary Beth Haynes, and you know, becoming an author has completely changed my life. I've gotten free publicity, and the best part is that I've been able to raise enough money to pay for the whole thing. It's incredible.
So the strategy that Mary Beth used was to sell ads in the back of her book. And we don't call it an advertisement, so what you do is you put a section in the back of your book that says, resources the author recommends. And you approach people who are not competing with your business, but would like to be in front of that target audience. So in Mary Beth Haynes' example here, she wrote a book on how to heal from pet loss, right? Because pets become part of our family. And so what she did was she wrote up this section. Let's see if I can get it to play. No, can't get it to play. Too bad. So she wrote a section in her book that says resources the author recommends. And she partnered with things like crematoriums, veterinarian clinics, pet stores, that target audience for her book. And she sold each ad for a couple $1,000s. And depending on your price structure, I know my mentor Raza used this method to raise $50,000 in 38 days because he was selling his ads for $5,000 a piece. Now he was also had a very large audience already in place, but that's not a bad advertising investment. You think of people who are spending advertising dollars right now. Even if you were charging $2,000, if you sell 10 ads, it's $20,000 in revenue that you can generate instantly just from the book by differentiating yourself. I know a realtor who used this. He partnered, think of all the things that you need in a real estate transaction, right? So he partnered with a lawyer, a mortgage broker, a surveyor for the RPRs, the real property reports. And he put all of those in the back of the resource. It was a very small advertising cost for the people who were doing it compared to their regular budget. And he paid for the entire publishing process, plus some net proceeds to him to be paid for having written the book. Does that make sense? So those are just two of the strategies. We have 6 other strategies that we discuss at the boot camp, but we can talk about that in a little bit. So the 8th step is just to decide. All you have to do is say, right now, I am going to write this book. Give yourself a deadline. Give yourself some pressure. make yourself a goal of that, right? What's one of the qualities of a goal, guys? That Aaron talks about? Makes you pee your pants, right? For me right now, mine is getting the Power to Speak Naked out by June 30th, right? We want you to succeed, and we want to give you the tools to do it, but you need to decide, because if you don't decide and make it a priority, it'll never get done. Now, I want you to contemplate this quote, and this came again from I discussed the book, and now I've totally
Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. That's right. Thank you, Jared, for saving me. Wealthy people decide quickly and rarely change their minds. Broke people make decisions slowly and change their minds often. That was true 100 years ago, and it's true today, right? So you need to make the decision and commit to it and not back down. So everybody say, you can do this.
You can do this.
Excellent. Those are the 8 steps, ladies and gentlemen. Decide your primary objective, write the right content, have an awesome cover, capture leads, boost sales, get free publicity, get others to pay for everything, and make the decision to write your book. And what are you going to use these 8 steps for? Just lighten up.
Guys, gonna make you laugh now. Ready?
I love these kids. They make me smile. So, remember me saying we have a boot camp coming June 2nd to 4th? You promised, I give you content, so I'm going to take 5 minutes really quickly and I'll tell you all about it. So, here's our boot camp agenda. It's broken into 2.5 days, and on the first day, we're going to cover writing it. So, finding a plan, a structured plan put together so that you can write the content that you want, right? We want you to have the right book. Some of you may have a couple of books in your head that you had thought about. Some of you maybe don't even know what book you're going to write. Either way, we want you to discover the book that's going to give you the fastest path to the biggest catch. And we'll help you through that process on Friday night. We'll go through it and we'll discuss what is going to be the book, the right book for you to write to get in front of your target audience. We're also going to cover Write It. And we have a structured plan that will allow you to write a book in 40 hours. What we do is we break it down into 5-minute segments, and when you say, Tyler, I've been thinking, a couple of years, forever since I was a little girl, about writing this book. Some of us have been thinking 40 years on the book that we want to write. We can break it down into 40 hours. This is the strategy that I use to write my book, and it's a game changer. Honestly, it makes the writing process so simple. We break it down for you so that book can get written in 40 hours. We're also going to cover funding on Saturday, right? So how to make the money before you publish it. Like I said, we covered 2 strategies here tonight. There are 6 more strategies that we'll cover, plus the 2 that we went and just dabbled in tonight. We'll go into huge depth on that Saturday on the funding plan. And then we talk about publishing. We want you to talk about printing issues, copyright issues, if you guys have any questions about plagiarism, or pricing, how to get on Amazon, how to get your ISBN number. All of those things we will cover in the publishing section on Saturday. And then Sunday, all day Sunday, the whole day, we dedicate to moving your book, getting it into the hands of the people that you want to reach, that you want to impact. Because otherwise, we say that you end up as a lonely author on an island of boxes of books, right? And there's no point in doing that. A lot of people think that 90% of moving a book is content and 10% is marketing. And we're going to show you how to flip that upside down, because really 10% is content. It's all in the marketing. All in the marketing. So if we were to cover the boot camp, this would be some of the value of it. At the boot camp itself, it's $3,000. We're also going to offer you a Kindle Fire with 50 black card books, best-selling books on it, and a home study course so that you can study the material at home on your own. And that value is $6,500, but obviously, I'm going to charge you $6,500 for it. We have sold this boot camp for $24.99 all over the world. And we do run boot camps every weekend globally. Now, it's a bit of a steep price, so my question to you is, if I were to give you the boot camp, the Kindle, and the home study course for free, would you come?
Yes.
Would that be an investment worth your time? Okay? So again, what we're offering to you and from me is the online version, totally free, so that if you sign up today, the boot camp's coming June 2nd to 4th, so you'll have a month to study up, to get some of these strategies in place so that when we come through as the experts, you're not bogged down trying to write and take notes, that the content is there and you can really, really absorb it and ask some really knowledgeable questions. So you have free access to the online content instantly as a study and as a reference after the boot camp. We're also going to give you the Kindle Fire loaded with 50 of our best-selling books. They're excellent resources. They have a lot of information available to them. And hey, you're getting a Kindle, so for anybody who likes to read, you can load that up if you want. If you don't like any of the books that we've done, go ahead, load it up with the books that you like. We also allow you to attend all of our boot camps for the next year for free. So we ran a boot camp in Calgary in November, and we also ran one up in Edmonton in November. So it doesn't matter where the boot camp is or when it's running for the next year. If you want to reattend, you can reattend for free as many times as you want. And there's no extra costs or hidden fees in that. With a caveat, I would ask you, because we are putting those resources together, and because it does cost money for us to print up our workbooks for you guys, and you guys will all get a free, glossy, happy workbook, and by the end of it, I assure you, you have covered it in 1,000 things of notes. We want you to be able to have that material available to you. It also costs us to fly our speakers out and rent the venue. So our material fees are $98. So we ask you to cover that $98 fee, and then that's it. You'll get the weekend, the boot camp, the workbook, all the bonuses, no hidden costs, $98 to come and attend it. And re-attend it for free. So that's your VIP package for $98 with no extra cost, no hidden fees. Why are we doing this? Because we are the fastest growing publishing company by title acquisition. Where do you think we find our authors? We find them at the boot camp, because that is where we develop our relationship with our authors, right? And so we want you to have the ability to come and do it. The other reason why we're charging the $98 instead of the $24.99 that we used to is because we're the official publisher for the Get Motivated seminar series. So anybody who's gone to a Get Motivated, we speak at that stage, we give this talk, and then we give the $98 special, right? Well, would it be fair to give all the Get Motivated people a $98 special and then come around and charge you guys $2,500? No, you'd all be sitting in the room looking at each other going, how'd you get the good deal? So we want to make the Get Motivated deal available to everybody. Is that fair? So $98 weekend boot camp, you get your workbook, all the bonuses, so you're going to get the Kindle, you're going to get the online study course, all of that for $98, plus you'll be able to attend and re-attend any boot camp. But here's the deal. If you go to totalbuy-in.com/events in the next 24 hours, that's my order page for it. Or I can sign you up right here as we're leaving. I'm more than happy to do that, trust me. If you guys do go to my link, totalbuy-in.com/events, you're going to see this page here, and this is the $98 package. If you want to upgrade to the Silver VIP or the Gold VIP, Silver VIP, you're going to get everything that I just talked about, plus you're going to get front of the room seating, a copy of Multiply Your Business by Jerry Roberts so that you have that, and we're going to give you your free book design, for your book cover design so that you can start promoting yourself as an author. Or if you want to go really fancy, upgrade for the $4.98, you'll get everything in the silver and bronze, plus a Publish a Book and Grow Rich ebook, email coaching for a year, and you'll get 3 private coaching sessions. Now here's the sweetener, right? Tyler, do something special for me. We're in Alberta, the economy sucks, and I can't afford any of those options, regardless of how much I really like it. So here is my Tyler special deal for you, and I promise you, this is Tyler's special deal. This is not Black Card Books saying that it's okay. For anybody who signs up today, because you took the time out of the day and I want to honor that for you, if you buy the package, any package, whether it's the bronze, silver, or gold, and you attend all 3 days of the seminar, I will buy your ticket for you. On Sunday afternoon, when we wrap up, I will give you your purchase price back as my thank you for attending. Is that fair? Why do I need you to pay up front? Because I need your commitment. I need your commitment to actually show up, because I only want to work with the authors who are in it. So if you're committed to doing it, I will make my commitment to you. You commit to me that you're going to show up for all 3 days. My commitment to you is that you can attend for free, 100% free. Is that fair? I think that's fair. So for free, you get to come to the weekend, no hidden cost, but I do need you to sign up either on the website or with me today. Does that sound fair? Fair's fair, good's good. Everybody raise your hand, say, you can do this. All right, thank you so much for attending, everyone.